if somebody does it right, you can turn me on just like from the other side of the room.
Here's the thing. No one can make you come. You can only make yourself come in the company of someone else. But it is you. We are not like arcade machines here, you know. Did you come? Did you come?
How do you know when sex is this divine, beautiful, spiritual portal to God?
There's a reason of why you're attracted to someone. And oftentimes it's the unfulfilled aspects of yourself that they're embodying.
So many men will ask me, why isn't my wife into sex anymore?
Problems in our society that are going on with sexual abuse.
It was something that I was really scared to put on the internet.
We're taught that that's wrong, that's shameful, hide that. And so we learn from a very young age, sexuality is sinful. Let those haters hate.
Hey y'all, I'm Acid Rani, and today I am here with Sahara Rose, someone who I have actually been following for years. And finally this year, when you replied to one of my videos, I was like, oh my gosh. And then I remember I was asking, are you going to be in LA? And you had no idea. You were like, I don't know, we'll see. And then the next thing I know, you moved here, which is crazy. I'm so happy things align like that. And I'm just fangirl moment.
Well, it was just so meant to be. And you're really that bitch. The fact that you blew up so quickly. She just told me she started her account January 1st.
Yeah.
And we're in October right now. And the fact that you grew over 200,000 followers in 1 year in this crazy social, because you're speaking truth. Because you're saying things that people are afraid of saying out loud. You're speaking into taboos that if we don't address these things, we're never gonna have the sex lives we want. But all of the problems in our society that are going on with sexual abuse and rape and all of these things will continue. So I know it's hard putting yourself out there the way that you do, but it's working. And even if it's triggering people, let those haters hate, because it's helping people find this wisdom.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that it brought me to you, because actually I think the video that you replied to was one where I was super vulnerable. I was talking about how I had cheated in the past, and it was something that I was really scared to put on the internet, but I knew that because I learned from it, and it was a mistake that I was embarrassed about, but it was such a turning point in my life. I put that out there, and I think that's the video that you found, and that's the one you kind of reached out to me on. And it's so cool because I think that I have been following you for a long time, and there's so many things that you talk about that I think when I first started following you, I knew that I was curious and interested in learning about it. And I'm still nowhere near what you talk about and reaching that level. But I just feel like I get more of it. And I'm so happy that I get to be here and actually ask you questions firsthand and kind of talk about something that I feel needs to be talked about, but I don't think everybody understands or is ready to understand. But I'm hoping that the people who do find this video are ones that are this is something that I also want to learn about. And I want to start off by asking you, so you know that I'm all about sex and dating and human relationships and trying to do that in a healthy way. A lot of people ask me about Tantra. So how would you define that? What is that to you?
So the way that we do anything is the way that we do everything. And we can't really be on a spiritual journey without looking at the sexual piece, because sexual energy is what has created life. We are all here as orgasms in human form, literally.
Yeah.
Orgasmic energy, the womb, is what has birthed all of creation. And eventually on that journey we go on, we clean up our diets and we look at our mindset and we look at our relationships. It has to enter the sexual field. Now, the word tantra is the ancient Sanskrit word that actually means to weave, to be with all. So there was the yogic path, which is the path of the aesthetic, the path of not saying yes to your desires, of going beyond them, of, kind of going into the mountaintops and being beyond this human life. But then Tantra said, but you can also be a householder. You can also be part of humanity and have love and intimacy and children and desires and good food and all of these enjoyments. And no, it's also all part of the Maya, but we're not here in this human experience to pretend that that's not there. But actually, when we weave with it, Tantra, when we can weave and be one with it, we can actually transcend beyond it. And so sexuality becomes a portal where it's something so much more, where it's not actually about the sex, but it's actually the intimacy that is taking us to God. And that is why sexual energy feels so good, because we are experiencing the Big Bang, like the two atoms that created all of this universe. Like when you're having that energy with someone, the reason why it feels so good is because you're experiencing that spark of creation. However, sexuality is the most co-opted force on this planet because it is so powerful. And that's why it's been the most infiltrated.
Yeah. So the way that you talk about it makes sex sound so beautiful. So why is it also so associated with the worst things in humanity? Where's the line?
So when we look at anything in spirituality, we can see the yin and the yang. We can see the darkness and the light, the masculine and the feminine. These polarities need to dance. So wherever we have the potential for the most transformation in our lives, we'll also experience the most shadow there. Because sexual energy is the most profound, it's a psychedelic experience that our human bodies are coded with, And so because it's so powerful and so all-encompassing. I mean, it starts with the first time we may have experienced that energy. We may have been children. Most of us were, that's when the impulse, the desire comes, but then we're taught that that's wrong, that's shameful, hide that. And so we learn from a very young age, sexuality is sinful, it's wrong. You start, every time you have a sexual urge, you feel the immediate guilt and shame, and that follows you. And actually the way that you end up self-pleasuring for the rest of your life is based on the neural pathways that you created when you first began touching yourself.
Wow.
And so if you were touching yourself, like, I need to be really quiet and really fast, otherwise my mom's going to hear me in the room, in India and many places, multi-generational households, you're going to have that same clenching, hiding, quieting thing every single time you get there, because that's the neural pathway you've built. However, we can relax our bodies, relax our nervous systems, and build more neural pathways by expanding more capacity in our bodies to hold on to energy. So if you think about like a little teacup like this, right? If all I have is this tiny little teacup, and that's the threshold of pleasure I can hold, you bring a little bit of pleasure, a little bit of friction, the water starts tipping over. It's not going to take that long for a little teacup like this. Now imagine I take this, giant seashell bowl, if you guys see, that's going to take more water to hold, fill it up until it overflows. Now imagine I take a swimming pool. It's going to take a very, very long time. Yeah. I'm building that energy up, but now all of a sudden my capacity is a swimming pool of pleasure instead of a teacup. Most of us have only experienced teacups of pleasure when we are capable of so much more. We've just scratched the surface.
That is so crazy. And it's funny because when I first started being a sex and dating coach, I was like, oh, like I'm good at sex, like I'm good at this and that. So like, let me talk about this. And then as I started being introduced to this world of what else is out there, I realized, wait, this is a never ending process of learning. And actually the way that you say that, the swimming pool thing, that's so real, because there are so many pleasures that I thought I had experienced, and I'm like, oh, I'm good. Like I had the orgasm, I had this, I had that. What more is there? And there is always something more and more. And I think that's the beauty of spirituality. But I think what I want to know is, how do you know when sex is this divine, beautiful, spiritual portal to God that you talk about, versus this drug, this addiction, this thing that can actually make you a monster? Like, how do you know which is which? Because I think what a lot of people have actually reached out to me about is, hey, like I'm masturbating a lot, like I'm a terrible person for doing this, or hey, like I'm really attracted to this girl and I think about her, sexually, or this and that, And also another thing that I talk about is BDSM, this power play, which I see it as a very beautiful thing, this trust, this consensual thing that you're doing where somebody does get to inflict pain on you or control you in a certain way. But I see it as a very beautiful thing. But a lot of people are like, why do I have this desire to be, slapped or to be this and that? So basically my question is, how do you know that you are doing it in a healthy way versus in a way that's actually not good for you?
This is such an important and nuanced conversation, and it really all comes down to intention, energy, and action. So first of all, what is our intention here? Is our intention, I'm feeling really stressed out and I just want to come? That's a lot of why women and men too will masturbate. Is the intention, this person's really fucking hot and I just want to tap that shit? Okay, that's energy of conquest, of lust. Or is the intention like, I just want to be with my body and explore it and treat her right and be the lover that I wish that I had and give myself that intimacy. And we can go into how to actually body map and find these pleasure receptors within ourselves. So the intention, and then the action that we do of like, now how does that actually come out? So a lot of times I see, especially with men, they may start with a good intention of, I really like this girl. But then when it becomes sexual, you can feel the energy of lust that's coming through, that it's like, it's fast, it's disassociated. And as a woman, I'm sure you felt they're not there with you anymore. Like the look in their eye, it's like they are just trying to get off and reach a goal rather than like be with you. And you can always feel, and that's why Tantra is all about going slower. So Tantra is a spiritual practice. You know, sexuality is only 2% of Tantra. A lot of people think Tantra is just like a kind of sex. No, it's an entire spiritual system, of which a small part of it is sexuality, but that's the part that intrigues us humans the most. And so Tantra would say that the first thing to do in your own self, first start with your own self-pleasure. And I find that is so important to begin with before going into any kind of partnership, because then you start to understand, what do I like? What do I not like? So we can talk about body mapping, how to figure that out. So whether you're male or female, play some beautiful music, light some candles, set a sacred space, because most people, once again, they're masturbating in this place of fear. I'm going to get caught. Like, are my roommates listening? Okay, put the porn on mute. Don't watch pornography. We can talk about why, but what that's doing is, instead of being with your body, you're zooming out on something else. And often what we're seeing in pornography is not actually what feels good for especially the woman's body. And there's a lot of agendas behind it. And there's a lot of energies that are coming through the pornography. There are female-focused pornographies, more conscious. There's also a lot of human trafficking that's happening with these porn stars. But when you're watching pornography, you're taking your most powerful energy that you have and giving it away. You're giving it to this like unknown entity.
That's not real.
That's not real. And you're feeding this matrix.
Yeah.
Instead of taking that sexual energy, which is your most powerful life force, it's your creative life force. So all this is in the Svadhisthana chakra. It's all in your sacral chakra energy. And when you can actually be with that energy, slow down. So set a beautiful sacred space. Like, have no one be home if you think someone's going to knock on the door. Like, take time with yourself and start to touch your body from the head downward. So start to feel into your scalp. What does it feel like to touch my scalp? Your face. Oh my goddess, your face has so many receptors that like, that's why it feels so good when someone's kissing you and they touch your face and you're like, oh my God, you can give yourself those butterflies.
Yeah.
And then it's like pure because it's you to you. It's the most self-loving thing. So touching your lips, caressing your ears, feeling into, what does it feel like inside of my ear? What does it feel like behind my ear? What does my neck feel like? Do I like it a little bit more firm or really, like I love a really, really light touch. Like that for me turns me on more. And now for women, going into the breasts. So in Tantra, we have a microcosmic orbit. So we are giving out our energy through our breasts. That's the energy of love, of the divine feminine. Of, you know, if you look at a lot of these ancient statues in India, they have these beautiful breasts, the goddesses. And I love the movie Kama Sutra with Rekha. And I don't know if you ever saw that. Oh, you need to watch it. But one of my like fantasies is a man like sculpting my body because he's so present with the sculpture and he's like the breasts and he's like with her. And, you know, and so much of the Kama Sutra was about like drawing a picture of the person before, like really looking at her. Like there's something about someone that's really looking at you. It's just such a turn on. But can you be with yourself? Can you look at your own breasts? And now, so the microcosmic orbit, we give out our breasts into, if we're in union, the man's chest. His chest is a negative energy receptor. So we give out positive pull to this negative pull. It shoots down his body through his lingam, his penis, which is a positive receptor, into our yoni, negative receptor, through our chest, out into him. So we are creating an orbit. So imagine like if you were a man, if we're sitting in yab yum, which is like kind of, I would be on top and straddling you. Imagine we try right now. And they're like, whoa, this video is getting a little freaky right now. It's going to be on her Patreon now. So I'd be shooting my energy out into your breast, though I think your breast would be shooting out into mine. And,
okay, down so through your body. Receptor means receiving.
Receiving, exactly. Okay. In through the man's breast, the man's lingam into my yoni. I'm taking that energy up and I'm shooting it out. So it's this beautiful spiral.
Okay, I did not know this.
Yeah.
This is actually blowing my mind because I did not know that your chest can also give and receive. So I just thought, like the penis gives. And then
we are giving through our breasts. We're giving our love. We're giving our nurturing. We're giving
never actually
and that's why men love breasts.
Oh my God, that is so beautiful. I never thought, you're so right.
But that's why you have to honor the breasts deeply before going anywhere else. Men don't take enough time with the breasts.
You
spend a full hour on the breasts.
Literally, I totally agree.
Yeah,
and you touched on a really good point that like there is because I think a lot of people believe that sex is just that body part down there, this body part up here, da 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 da. No, it's like you said. I mean, you said like inside of the ear. You said the head. Like every fiber of your being has like this different like feeling and like sexual, what it could add to the sexual experience. And I think that a lot of people, because so many people message me and they're like, how do I make sex more pleasurable? And I'm like, bro, sex is so much more than a penis going inside of a vagina. And if that's all that you're doing, you're not going to enjoy it. First of all, it starts off with it's a mental thing, especially for women, but I think for both sides. But I will say that I think men are more like they're visual creatures, whereas women, we do need much more like feelings of safety, security, like so much more of like this mental stimulation that I think is overlooked. It's just not seen as like a part of sex, I think probably because it's more important for the woman. Like touching the body and doing certain things, it's valued because men value it. They're like, I want to see this, I want to see that. So that's important in sex, right? But what about the conversation, the tone of the voice, the things that you're saying, the energy that you bring, and all of that stuff, the mental stimulation. And then like what you said, touching the face, like different levels of pressure and stuff like that you should be so much turned on before we even get to kissing or physical stuff. Like if somebody does it right, you can turn me on just like from the other side of the room, honestly speaking, right?
Days.
Yeah.
And more than mental, it's energetic.
Exactly that.
It's like there could be someone saying all the right things, but you don't feel the energy, but it's like there is an intelligence to love. There's an intelligence to attraction. There's a reason of why you're attracted to someone. And oftentimes it's the unfulfilled aspects of yourself that they're embodying.
Exactly that. But you did talk about how, and I always say this as well, that before exploring sex with somebody else, I would encourage everyone to have an orgasm themselves first.
Absolutely. And even beyond orgasm. So with the breast, what I really recommend is just doing a figure 8 around your breasts. Okay. So what that's doing is it's opening up the heart chakra, because for us women, we store a lot of pain there from all of the heartbreaks, all of the disappointment in the masculine, all the anger in the masculine. I had to do a lot of deep work on the anger I had felt from experiences I had had. And so when you're opening up the breasts, you're actually like melting this like black tar that's covering our hearts that are making us not able to fully receive the masculine.
Wow.
And so it literally is just like opening up, melting away. I like just tapping like in the center of my chest and just tapping. And, sometimes if I'm like listening to a song that's really opening my heart, I'll tap as a way, or even just like stroking, and I'm not on my nipples at all. I'm in between my breasts, and it's just opening my heart chakra, because I'm sure you guys have noticed you can have an orgasm, but it's like tension releasing and it doesn't even feel good. The kind of orgasms that actually feel good and feel pleasurable are those that include your heart. So breastgasms are actually the most pleasurable kind of orgasm that you can receive, because it's like the pure energy of love, and you can give yourself breastgasms, and you don't even need to be touching your yoni at all. So first, just really working with this microcosmic orbit, this figure 8, and then even just like tapping, stroking around your breast. Don't touch your nipple. Start bringing the erotic energy to that part of your body. So we're building tension, we're building tension, we're building tension. And then maybe the tiniest little finger on your nipple now is that tipping point. That's orgasmic, because you've built so much sexual energy up. Whereas what so many men do, and then maybe women even do to themselves, is like straight for the tit. It's like it feels like it feels like nothing. Yeah, exactly. Genuinely like nothing.
This. I wish more people understood this. And I get so many girls who message me and they're like, I love my boyfriend or my husband. I want to have sex with him. So when he touches me in these ways that I'm meant to be touched, according to who? According to porn, according to like, I don't know who, but they're like, I don't actually enjoy it. It just feels like it's happening. And this is exactly that, because there is this range, this spectrum of every feeling that needs to be felt in order for that tension to be built up. And I think a lot of people just kind of overlook that, So, I mean, going back to, pleasuring yourself before you allow somebody else to pleasure you or expect someone else to pleasure you. A lot of girls reach out to me and they're like, I can't come even on my own. And then all of a sudden they're putting this pressure on their boyfriend to make them come, which I've actually had a lot of people tell me this. They're like, oh, like my boyfriend must be bad at sex because he can't make me come. But I'm like, can you make yourself come? And they're like, no, but am I allowed to do that? Am I supposed to do that? How do I do that? So this, I would really love to like get your opinion, because I have always been able to make myself come. So I don't know like what tips and tricks you have for women who are struggling to come.
Here's the thing. No one can make you come. You can only make yourself come in the company of someone else. But it is you.
Wait, you said this so beautifully. I totally agree.
No one can make you come.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Because it doesn't matter if you're with the most skilled lover. By the way, what works for one thing might not work for someone else. Absolutely. You have to know your own body.
Absolutely.
You have to know your own body. You have to. And there are some lovers that are slower. I would say my first thing, breathe. Be with your breath. What most of us do is we hold our breath. And so when we're doing that, we're teapotting ourselves. We're decreasing our capacity. Even though it's harder to have that tipping orgasm when you're breathing, taking big breaths, you're expanding your capacity. So just breathe. Mm-hmm. The number two thing, go way slower than you think. If you think you're going slow, go half of the speed. Spend a lot of time, 3, on the outer parts of your body. So let's say we're working with our breasts and we're doing breastgasm, then maybe you're working with your stomach, then just the inner thighs. Yeah. There are so many receptors there. Like as a woman, are you spending 45 minutes on your own body before going 100%. Into your yoni? Most of us have never done that before. Yeah.
They don't even know to do that. You know what I mean? And there's just so many, you're so right. Like you can literally take like a lotion and like massage your foot and like feel the inside of your thigh. Like, has anybody ever touched that? A lot of girls I know, like especially if you're younger and you're very new to masturbation and you've never had a sexual experience with someone else, no one's touched you down there. No one's touched around the vagina. Like you've never had the inside of your knee touched by anyone. So it's like you should touch every crevice of your body yourself. Feel it with different levels of pressure. And something else that I actually started getting into recently, when I was younger and I was like kind of masturbating, touching myself, I would think about, I don't know, like a fantasy story, like a fairy tale, like whatever, a guy, whatever. As I started to get older, I actually started coming to myself, to this idea. It wasn't even just my face. It's not like a physical picture of myself and my breasts or whatever. It was this, who is Thanya? Who am I? Who is a powerful queen, like this goddess, like everything I am or wanted to be or felt like I was becoming. Coming to that was so liberating and powerful. And I was like, wait, I don't need a man. I don't need an external source to come to. when you can come to yourself, and then when you start implementing that in actual sex, where it's not about, I mean, there's so many things in sex. Like, yes, sex is beautiful when you're pleasing the other person, when the other person's pleasing you. But it's also so beautiful when you're actually like, we're just two energies, and I am this, and I'm coming to this, and I'm serving this being that is me. Like, it's so weird because sex is, you are supposed to think about the other person, but you also have to think about yourself in a way that you've actually never thought about yourself or been taught to think about yourself and like love yourself. You know what I mean? And I think the toxicity actually in sex a lot of times comes from you are valuing yourself based on how much you can make the other person happy and please them. But the reality is you have to know how to please yourself. That's really what sex is. It's two people that are loving themselves, so happy with themselves. And now you're kind of learning how to do that with the other person, but you can only do that with someone who can do that with themselves. Otherwise, you're just going to be drained, and both of you are going to leave feeling like, I'm not good enough, I'm not this, I'm not that.
And what I invite us all to do is, instead of even thinking during self-pleasure, just feel. Like, actually just feel into that part of your body. Because like, I want us right now, like, just stroke your arm and watch our video and just stroke your arm. Okay? We all just did that. Now, I want us to look at our arm and with our full presence, feel yourself stroking your arm. Ooh. How much more intense was it when you were present?
Yeah.
You're feeling the exact thing so much more because your mind is focused there. So many of us, while we're even having sex, there's a full penis inside of us. We're thinking about what we're going to eat after.
Literally.
We're thinking about, did I get all the groceries I needed? What needs to happen next? So it actually has nothing to do with the size, nothing. It has to do with the mind and body connection. Mm-hmm. That's what the ancient Vedic scholars have been talking about this entire time. When you are mindful of touch, like, the littlest graze on your shoulder can be orgasmic.
Literally.
Like, at this point for myself, I don't have to touch my body. I just come near the auric field around my breast. My friends laugh at me. They're like, oh, I'm going to make you come. But like, just this is extremely orgasmic for me. And I am a good 6 inches away from my body because I have that level of attunement. And I was exactly where you guys were when I grew up with shame. My parents never taught me this, be a virgin until you're married, all of that. So it's possible for anyone. It's not that we were born different. But we need to undo how gross and overt our sexuality is. Amen. How P in V focused it is. Harder, faster, stronger, bigger. It's actually pull back. Mm-hmm. It's actually build. It's actually create tension, create erotic desire. It's that longing. It's like, be in front of each other's mouths and just like a few inches and just breathe each other's air.
It's so beautiful and so powerful. And I think a lot of times people forget that the point of sex is intimacy. The point of sex is not an orgasm. So it's like when you're actually thinking about how to get closer to that person, sometimes it's like, the body is one way to do that. Physical touch is one way to do that, but energies and everything, it's just one aspect of many. And that, like, the beauty of sex is that it's like two energies merging and like loving themselves and loving the other person. And when you try to add like a science, like mechanics to it, that's when you lose everything. So even when you're trying to make yourself come, focus on, like, are you focusing on what you're supposed to do, which is orgasming or putting your fingers inside or rubbing the clit in the way that, I don't know, like the internet taught you to? Or are you actually doing what feels good? And sometimes what feels good is not even anything down there. Sometimes it's literally like I have been more turned on by the way someone has whispered something to me than someone actually like putting his mouth down there or actually touching me and technically doing everything right. And it sucks because sometimes like it's just not enjoyable to me, and that person will ask me, what did I do wrong? And I'm like, technically
Can we give some advice to the men right now?
Literally,
slow the fuck down.
Seriously,
we are not like arcade machines here, you know. Did you come? Did you come? If you had to ask me, I did not.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly, because you will know. You will know. And that's the thing, because so many men, especially like after 20 years of being married, so many men will ask me, why isn't my wife into sex anymore? I felt like the first week or month or year she was super into it, and now she's not. And I'm like, because are you doing new things? Are you worshiping her body? Are you making her feel special?
Let's talk about body worship, because this is a very big part of Tantra.
Yeah. And and also kind of getting into kind of masculinity and femininity, because I will always argue that the feminine does love and need to be worshipped in a way that I think sometimes when we think about how men are turned on, they're turned on by watching someone really beautiful, like physically beautiful. That's why you see men going to strippers. You don't really see women do that with men, because for women, we like the idea of being worshipped. We like the idea of being wanted and sought after and stuff like that. And I think a lot of people are like, why doesn't my girlfriend want to have sex with me 20 years in? And it's like, are you courting her the same way? Are you making her feel wanted and worshipped the same way you were when you guys first started dating? That's what turns a woman on. And I think sometimes men don't understand that, but I think a lot of women don't even realize that's what's missing, right? They just know that something's wrong and they don't want it, but they don't know why. And if you have to tell someone, I want you to want me, it's not special anymore. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Exactly. So we all have feminine and masculine within ourselves, and we can call it Shiva Shakti, we can call it Omega and Alpha, I think they're calling it now. I like to just say masculine and feminine. So the feminine part of ourselves is the part of ourselves that feels, that is connected to all, that wants to create, that wants to, be immersed. Right? And so when we are dancing, when we are singing, when we are with family, when we are deep in nature, we are in our feminine energy, whether you were born in a male or female body. Masculine energy is direct, it's focused, it's goal-oriented, it's linear. When you are getting shit done, when you're at the gym, when you're listening to some Big Sean, like when you're like proud of yourself, you're making strides, that is our masculine energy. Again, we both have it all. Now, when it comes to sexuality, we need to have someone who's holding the masculine and someone who's holding the feminine to create polarity. Polarity is the energy that, these two microphones are a magnet. When two opposites are near each other, there's that tension, that pull that we've been talking about. We need to have that polarity. If we're both in our feminine energy, we're both like, no, worship me. No, you worship me. There's nothing that's going to be pulling us together. And if we're both in our masculine energy of like, I just want to get some right now, then it's like, it's going to be so fast and aggressive that's like not even going to feel good. Mm-hmm. Like there needs to be the hunter and the huntee. Now we can switch, and I think it's good too sometimes, but tends to be most often that women desire to be in their feminine energy sexually. So how do you know what you like to be sexually? What feels like a deeper and true desire to you? That your deepest desire is someone who just ravishes you. They just want to kiss you all over. They can't get enough of you. They just want to like inhale you. Like all they can do is just stare at you from across the room, and they need to have you right now, and they're just going to get you and throw you over their shoulder and take you into the bed and just like love you into oblivion. If that's your sexual desire, honey, girl, you're in your feminine.
Yeah.
If your greatest sexual desire is you see that thing across the room, you're just going to get that. Yeah. That's mine. People are going to see me walking out with that piece of shit, and I'm going to freaking ravish it and penetrate it and own it, and it's gonna be mine, and I'm gonna put it all over it. Then you're in your masculine energy. Yeah. And look, sometimes as a woman, some women are into younger guys pegging. Like sometimes women like to be in their masculine energy. Sometimes with Dom we do the power playing. It can be hot to switch it up sometimes too.
It's not about your body. I think a lot of people get mad when you or I talk about things like this, because they're like, it's not fair that I was born into this body and now I have to be that. You can decide. You can switch. Like you can be different. People bring out different aspects of you. So to see that, like, to recognize masculine and feminine is not a bad thing, which I think often.
But here's what I see happening, especially in India. A lot of the men are very in their feminine.
Yeah.
And they don't want to be. They don't know they are. And they're wondering why they're not having that insane polarity. You might be talking with them, the flirting is great, even the kissing is great, but when it comes down to more, all of a sudden, it's not happening. Literally. And the reason why is because a lot of Indian men have been taught that they are the prized possession.
Exactly.
And so they're like leaning back like we're their fucking moms, and that's not hot. And so if you are a man, and it's not just an Indian culture, but I just noticed it a lot living there.
It's really bad in Indian culture, though.
It is. It's especially bad, I've noticed, in Indian culture, because I think in Indian culture, there's multi-generational households, so you don't you don't have that same experience as Americans have of like in college, and they have their own place, and they're like sexually experimenting. And in American culture, there's just a lot more openness and communication. So an American woman would be like, that didn't feel good for me. Yeah. Like, can you do this? And in Indian culture, we're kind of taught of like, don't say anything.
You're not allowed
to. Yeah, you're gonna turn him off. You're gonna scare him. He's gonna think you're too masculine. I've had that happen before. If it doesn't feel good, but because I want to make him happy, I'm trying to figure out how it could. And then I'm like trying to orgasm for him. And he's just trying, like, he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. And so the number one thing, if you're a man watching this, you want to be more in your masculine energy, take time to devour her. Like, look at her in the eye. And can you be in your heart? Because we can feel if the desire's all in your dick, and we're going to feel that. And that's a very different energy than like that sexy ravishment of like creep. We're not looking for creep here. And I'm not saying don't do this to strangers. First, build some kind of rapport, communicate, like establish a friendship. Like, let's start. Can we be friends? Do we like to talk to each other? Bring up some flirty if it's reciprocal. Now, can you just gaze at her and just look at her and not say anything? You know, I think a lot of men, then they'll friend zone themselves sometimes, you know, of like, I don't want to seem creepy. And then as a girl, I'm thinking, do you even like me?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you really just want to be my friend. And then I don't think they did.
Yeah.
And so just hold gaze, hold tension. And then when you're with a woman, in Tantra, they say the thing that actually will turn a man on the most, not just a woman, is worshiping a woman's body. Because as a man, you're going to get aroused within 3 minutes. It doesn't take very long for you. But for a woman's body, it takes longer. And it doesn't always need to take 20 minutes or 45 minutes. But I would say when you're building those neural pathways for the first time, for the first couple of months, it might. At this point, I think for you or for it doesn't take that long. Yeah. But at the beginning, when I was learning this, I would spend sometimes 2 hours or plus in my own pleasure practice. Touch her body. Ask her, does this feel good? Do you like this? Be explorative. Like, touch her chest, touch her armpits,
Pay attention to her body language. It's crazy how little people will do that. Like, you're telling a guy, like, you're pushing his head or you're redirecting him, and he's just not paying attention. Like, it's like
they're in go mode.
Yeah. So there's so many like aspects to it. And the thing is, okay, look, like, sex does not have to be 2 hours every single time. But that's the thing, is that sex does not start when the lights are off and when you're the only two people in the room. You can turn a girl on in the middle of the day just by the way you look at her. Just by like literally like saying, like talking to her in a way that in the middle of a grocery store makes her feel, and it doesn't even have to be sexual. You can literally go up to her and be like, you are so beautiful. And if you say that in this very primal, animalistic, like I just worship the ground that you walk on type of way, that is foreplay. That is literally how you turn a woman on. There is no one size fits all like this. Like, you know, it's so, I feel like people are obsessed with putting sex in this box of like, it has to be this, this, and this. And I do think porn actually has done that, where in porn, they kind of show things like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be. And this is what you touch. And it's like a button and you push it, but it's not about that. It's so much deeper and it's so energetic, and it's not even the words. It's not even an exact thing. It's how you do it. It's the energy behind it, the intention behind it. And I think women can tell, like what you said, women can tell that this person wants me in a deeper way, versus you kind of mentioned something about, you know, guys friend zone themselves because they're like, oh, I don't want to come off as creepy. But I think a lot of times when this happens is a guy will come up to a girl and he's just like, oh, I like you. But he doesn't actually know why he likes her. He doesn't know what it is about her that he likes. He just kind of sees her as like, oh, she's this like pretty flower and I want to pick it. And I think that's not the same as actually worshiping her, because when you worship someone, there's reasons. It's the way that she walks. It's the way that she talks. It's the way that her mind works. It's the way that her energy is. And a lot of people are like, oh, I like how long your hair is. I like how fat your ass is, and I want you. And isn't that enough? No. And women can tell.
Bring back the poets.
Yeah, seriously. Like, why do you, and that's a huge thing, actually. A lot of times a guy will be like, I like you. And I'm like, why? We haven't even had a conversation.
Here's a fun tip for guys. Ask girls questions.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is it's a good place to start.
Yeah.
I've been on so many dates. They'll go on a rant about whatever their special interest is, and I'm like, do you have any questions for me? Like, they're like, no. Like, it's like, so you decided you like me, but you know nothing about me.
Literally insane. I mean, my ex-boyfriend, to this day, it's been over a year, and he's messaging me like, I love you so much. I still want you back. And I'm like, we broke up because he didn't even know what city my parents are from. Like, he doesn't even know the most basic things about me. And I was like, wait, you actually just liked the fact that I was beside you and I put up with your bullshit. Anybody can do that. You didn't love me. You just loved this person that tolerated you, which is not, it does not make me feel special at all. And actually, that was the reason that we broke up, was because I was like, I don't feel loved. I don't feel special, even though he always made sure I was fed. He learned how to cook the food. Like, he took care of me in the way that you take care of a car.
But that's like so basic of like, have you eaten?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
That
like,
doesn't mean you love
like,
me.
How was your day? Tell me more about that.
Take genuine interest.
Yeah, like, listen, and don't just be like, oh, like, that's awesome, and like dissect. Be curious. Be curious in all ways, not just about her day, but even about her sexually.
Yeah.
Be curious. Does this feel good? Does that feel good? What fantasy do you have? Do you prefer it when I touch you like this or when I touch you like that? Because a lot of women we're so afraid of saying it. You know, we don't want to come off as bossy. We don't want to come off as demeaning. So we're kind of hoping that you're just going to figure it out. And then once you figure it out, we'll try to like moan or something. So you keep doing that. But then often what happens is once you're doing that, then the guy just starts going faster. Guys, if we're saying we like that, it doesn't mean go faster.
Yeah.
You just keep doing that.
Exactly that. And it's funny because like, we're not even really talking about sex right now, but that's the importance of the non-sexual things when it comes to sex. Is like, I wish, and people are always like, can you make a video on how I can please my wife? Can you make a video on how I can come? And I'm like, it's so much deeper than that. Yeah. And that is why I think the female orgasm is so much more satisfying to achieve than the male orgasm, because it's so much more complex and it's so much deeper. And if you can achieve that female orgasm, you can make a girl come. That means you've actually really done something.
Well, because the female orgasm requires the energy of love.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here's the real elephant in the room. A lot of these men don't have the intention to love you. They just want to use your body. And as the feminine, we can feel that. Yeah. And sometimes we try to convince ourselves that we're okay with it. And I think what a lot of this like feminist movement is like, we can fuck just like men, like, and sure, have the freedom to, but especially for women, we are not actually going to experience pleasure from that.
It actually is traumatic. And I think I went through the same thing, because I am saying this now, but when I was younger, I was trying to have sex for sport, like reclaiming it. And at the end of the day, I was the one that got hurt time and time again. And now I feel like at the age of 28, I'm doing so much effort to heal exactly what I thought I was overcoming. Like, I thought I was making a statement, you know?
Well, because the womb is a imprinter of energy. And so we take on the man's karma and trauma.
Yeah.
And so when we walk away, there's an energy exchange in sex always for both parties. But it's deeper for the woman. Of course. Because for the man, he's releasing, even if he's wearing a condom, he's still releasing his energy into us. And then our womb, which is this hologram, is imprinting that energy and amplifying it. That's why don't have sex with anyone you wouldn't want to become. Because you will become more like each other. So if that person's very anxious, you're going to be feeling anxious for the next couple of days, weeks, maybe even months.
That shit is so
And the more
real.
energy sensitive you are, the harder it is.
Yeah, like when someone's going like STD, sexually transmitted depression, that shit is so real. Like you like pick up their energies and then you're sitting here wondering like, oh, why do I feel awful after that experience? And the problem is a lot of people, especially women, like they're taught to blame themselves. Like I was a slut, like I was this, I was that. But the real thing is that, was that the person that you were even meant to have sex with? So actually, like a lot of people, myself included, I've done this a lot, where I was trying to have sex with someone and my body actually just rejected it. Like my body did not want to. I was not enjoying it. And my brain was like, no, but Tanya, you should, because he's a nice guy and this and that. But energetically, my body was saying no. So I think a lot of girls, when they reach out to me and they're like, oh, you know, I've been dating this guy for so long and like, I want to have sex with him, but my body just closes up. I'm not saying it's 100% that he's at fault, that he's a bad person or whatever, but I want you guys to ask why. Is your body, your spirit telling you something that, you know, you don't feel comfortable with this person the way that you think that you do mentally? You don't actually, your body is not accepting of his energy or whatever. And I feel like as a society, like I said, a lot of women are taught to blame themselves. Like, oh, it's because I was taught that my value is, you know, in my virginity and purity and this and that. But there's so many factors to consider. Fear is absolutely a very big one. But also sometimes I say like, listen to your body. If your energy is like, no, like I don't want this, ask why. And if you can't come with this person, if you don't enjoy sex with this person, don't blame yourself. Actually question, why is it that your body's not enjoying sex with this person, you know?
I love that you said that, because sometimes in the moment we can convince ourselves like, oh, I know this isn't going to last, but I just want to have fun. And here's the thing. It's fun until it's not.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, do you actually end up having fun? Mm-hmm. You know? And I think we all have to go through that phase of realizing it's like eating junk food, you know, you're having some fun during it and like immediately after. And then for like, even for me, if I drink a little bit of alcohol, like days after, I'm still feeling hungover, you know?
And you think a lot of times when it comes to toxic sex, you think that means that you just want sex with that person. But in reality, you just want that rush. Like if you eat a lot of sugar, you get a rush and then you crash after. That crash does not mean your body wants more sugar. It means it should have never had that to begin with. If you're crashing after a sexual experience, if you feel bad about yourself,
if you're getting a yeast infection,
oh my God.
Like, is this man worth your pH?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, if the man is not for you, you're going to be getting UTIs and yeast infections.
And this
100%.
has happened to me so many times, where it's like with one person, every time we had sex, I would get a UTI. It was actually insane. And I should have known that this is not the person for me. I should not be entertaining this. So a lot of times I feel like women should be, and everyone should be softer on themselves instead of blaming yourself. And I think a lot of times partners will try to manipulate you and say, it's because you're this, it's because you're that you're doing this to me. But in reality, like, you should honor whatever part of your body or your spirit or soul is telling you, like, hey, like, you should, because when you have healthy sex with someone who is actually a good person and loves you and cares for you, you don't feel a crash and you don't feel an addiction. You
feel better after. You feel more creative. You feel buzzing with energy. Mm-hmm. It's like it's invigorating for you. And I will say one thing about the yeast infections, and it could have been your UTI. If you're like, but I love my partner, but for some reason I'm still getting yeast infections or UTIs, they may actually have one.
Yeah.
A lot of men have yeast infections, but they don't know because they don't have the symptoms. They might, but not as much as we women do.
Yeah.
So I've had friends that they didn't know, but their like long-term partner had one. They were passing it back and forth to each other. So they had to both do complete like candida cleanses of their diet, and then working with like antifungal creams and, ointments and things until they were both totally cleared. So sometimes that can happen as well. I also want to note about condoms, because a lot of men will pressure you into not using them or pretend they don't have one. It's just not worth it. It's not worth that fearful panic you're going to have to do after of like, oh my God, do I have an STD or STI? And like, especially right now, it's like so many people are not getting checked and they're going from partner to partner. They're getting checked once in a while, but having partners in between then. And it's just the amount of STIs is really just crazy. And so that fearful state that you're going to be in after. And, you know, a lot of men will lie too and say that they did and they actually didn't, and you'll only find out after. And I've had so many friends just be in situations. That's why for me personally, I won't have sex with someone I'm not in a relationship with. Yeah. Like, it's just not worth it for me. And I was celibate for 2.5 years after my divorce. Yeah. And it was crazy. I had, you know, but it made me come face to face with all of the ways that I use sex for intimacy, for if I was working love, a lot, or even I was working a lot that day. It was like my reward, or I don't know, like I felt like if I wasn't in a relationship, I had to always be like working. But if I was with a partner, I could like lounge in bed all day. And it made me like look at all of these stories within myself. And I really recommend everyone go through a period of, at least if you're not in a partnership, at least 1 year of celibacy, because that is how I became energetically orgasmic from not having sex, because it made me get so much more attuned to subtle energy that for the rest of my life, I'm set up for such deeper levels of intimacy and pleasure, because it's like fasting. Yeah. When you fast and then you eat an apple, it's like the most delicious thing you've ever tasted. But if you're eating junk food all the time, an apple tastes like nothing. And so if you're single, this could be and womb clearing. Let's talk about that. You know, most of us have never done womb clearing. So we're carrying on, again, the karma and trauma from so many different people. So for womb clearing, first, energetic cord cutting. So imagining the cords that are connecting you. And when you just tune into your womb, so the bottom of your belly and that energy of your like underneath your belly button is where your womb is. And when you think of any cords attached to it and you can tune into it, are there any people that come to mind? What are the qualities of the cords? Are they thick? Are there a lot of them? Is there one? And imagining yourself cutting that cord with a knife, especially if you've gone through a breakup or a divorce, because you've been making love with that person for so long, their imprint is very deep within you. Yeah. And so I had this like kind of like fake knife that I got in Egypt. And for a month after my divorce, every single night before I would sleep, I would like cut the space over my womb. And I would literally imagine myself cutting this cord from him. The other thing, yoni steaming. So yoni steaming, I actually have my yoni steamer there. We can pull it out later if you want. But it is the practice of very ancient practice in India, Africa, Asia, all around the world, of sitting over a pot of steaming hot, like herbal tea with different herbs. So in India, neem. In America, mugwort, things that are very clearing. And that vapor that's coming from the herbal infusion is actually clarifying and tonifying inside of your vulva and moving into your womb space. So doing yoni steaming is such a powerful way of clearing your womb energy, and something really good to just do monthly, especially after your period. And I mean, there's so many different practices. Yoni breathing. So when you're doing like breath work or meditation, imagining your yoni, taking in the energy and breathing out, taking in the energy, breathing out. A lot of people do Kegels. If you already are someone that's experiencing vaginal tightness, that sex often hurts, doing excessive Kegels or jade egg practices is actually not right for you. So for me, I'm someone who is more tight. I'm very strong, like, you know, and I'm petite. And so I don't need to be tighter. You know, what I actually needed to practice is how to loosen up. Mm-hmm. And so for a lot of women, they think, because the media is like, be tight, be tight, be tight. I think a lot of us are actually experiencing too much tightness. We need to learn how to like soften, like water energy more, like, and people think, oh, it's a tight pussy that feels good. No, it's a engorged yoni that feels good, because engorgement, she is supple. Yeah. She is like a plush, beautiful like sofa, ready to receive. She's ready, and that's actually what is feeling good on the lingam. If it's tight, it's actually like it will hurt. Like it can hurt the lingam and it's dry.
Think that's like a huge problem that I've seen in India is so many people, there's just like a conditioned vagin something where they're like, oh, it actually hurts for me to have sex. And I think this is exactly it, is that they're actually so tight that they need to learn to relax. Like there isn't, I mean, yeah, like you covered a lot of really good points, that there is so, I mean, that's the thing about sex, right? Is it is not one size fits all, and it's so different. And it really all starts from understanding yourself and your body. Like, you have to remove this idea of that, oh, I have to be tight for my partner. That's so stupid. You have to enjoy yourself. And the only way somebody else will be able to enjoy you and you can enjoy someone else is if you enjoy yourself. So I feel like I would really recommend, because I think a lot of like the people that message me or watch my content, they're at that level where, because like I get on the internet, I'm talking about getting tied up, hanging from the ceiling, like some crazy stuff. And there are people messaging me and they're like, wait, I don't even know how to put a tampon in. Like I've never even put a finger in. So really just like, I mean, a lot of the things that you covered about like that energy and like even like self-care, like steaming your yoni and stuff like that. There's so many ways to love yourself that is not putting something in your vagina.
And don't put soaps and douches in your vagina, please.
I've made a video about this.
Make a billboard of that.
Yeah, literally, like none of that. And really, it all just boils down to like love yourself, respect yourself, and respect your partner. Because as a man, like if you do not respect your partner, and then you're like, why doesn't she want to have sex with me? I tell her she's beautiful. I buy her things. Why doesn't she want to have sex with me? Because we can sense that you don't actually value us as like a woman, a goddess, like whatever. You just kind of see us as something for your taking. You're like, oh, I can't wait to, and I think we have this problem a lot in India where men want to fuck, but the same woman that they have sex with, they will lose respect for her because now like she's filthy. But it's like she's only filthy because you touched her and she knows that you think that. So in what world is she gonna feel safe having sex with you or opening up to you? So there is so much more to it, that it's like having sex is actually step like 15. Like there are 15 steps to have sex before we actually even reach that point. So I feel like we've covered a lot of topics today.
Oh my gosh, we could talk about this all day. Yeah. We need to do another one.
I literally love that we got to have this conversation. And I just find you to be so inspirational. And the things that you talk about is just so like, it's so real, because they're not like ready for this conversation, and they honestly don't even believe it. Like I think a lot of people who might be watching this, they might even sit back and be like, that's so stupid, I'm just gonna go back and watch porn, because they obviously know what they're doing. But that's the thing, is that
if you're here for a reason.
Well, yeah, I hope so.
That porn's not gonna hit the same after you know what you know now.
Yeah, I hope so. And like for good sex, I mean, it's really that, it's this like energy and healing and all these beautiful things that like, that I feel like, I hope like we've kind of started to scratch the surface. But
next time we're going to talk about full body and energy orgasms that can last for over 30 minutes.
Oh my God.
But we just gave you the first steps.
Yeah.
Fill them
like
all.
Masturbation.
Come back. Then we're going to go to
love yourself.
Level 12.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for doing this with me. This was so much fun. And if you guys didn't know who she is, Sahara Rose, go follow her on Instagram. Go watch her stuff. She talks about this in every way, in every aspect of life. It's just, yeah, there's so much good stuff here. Thank you guys so much for watching. And yeah, stay tuned for more content like this.